Open with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we got the cats all herded. Council activity reports, I'll make mine brief. I had a Minnesota Association of Small Cities board meeting on Tuesday last week. Nothing overly exciting to report from there, and it's also in our informational, but we have Stearns County Municipal League meeting coming up on Tuesday evening next week. That's my report. Fuller LeBeau.
I attended we'll call it a downtown development meeting?
Think tank.
Think tank.
Tank meeting.
Mm,
Okay,
okay.
we'll call it that.
Mhm.
That's about it.
That was on Tuesday too, right?
Yes.
Yep. Councilor Hertzberg.
I was at your mayor's breakfast last week, Thursday, which was really good. And we had the audit finance meeting this afternoon in Public Works, and now we're here.
All right. Thank you. Councilor Rinke
We had our planning meeting last week for the planning committee.
and Councilor Gilmore.
I was at the mayor's breakfast and the Daughters of Isabella State Conference at the Gathered Church.
Cool, good for you. All right. Then we do have one department head report, Mr. Mergen.
Thank you. I guess first of all, we just got done, May 3rd was the Water Festival, and I guess I would like to thank all the sponsors. I think there was like 12 different entities and sponsors, businesses, and then especially New Style Customs. They do provide the t-shirts at no cost to us, so that is a huge benefit for us. Tours of the water plant. Jay Thompson always brings his chemistry classes through there, and that will happen on Friday. So. Compost site obviously is open, operational. We are seeing quite a bit of activity out there. Tomorrow there will be additional, as a roto chopper will be out there chipping all the brush up. It will start. Also, the crack sealing that we approved about, I think it was 2 months ago, they plan to be here tomorrow or maybe Wednesday to start. So. The RV dump station is also open, so if anybody needs to utilize that, the water's on there now, so. Parks obviously are open also this weekend. We do have our first reservation out at Veterans Park. If anybody is interested, there are a few openings up yet, but it is beginning to fill up quite a bit. The subcommittee working on the playground equipment, we do have one proposal in. We're waiting on the second one, and after that we will get together and meet and hopefully be bringing a proposal to the council shortly. Nitrate clinic, through the Wellhead program and the SWCD of Stearns County, they asked for a location, and that will be hosted right here in City Hall on June 4th. That is mostly for residents or township residents who have a well, a private well, that would like to get their nitrates tested. And the airport, there's been quite a bit of activity out there, and again, the fly-in is scheduled for August the 11th. So that's all I have.
Any questions of Ron? Yep.
Is there a time frame for getting the dirt out here by the stoplight fixed?
Road restrictions are now off, so the hot mix plants are opening up, and yes, so hopefully by the end of the week or early next week.
Great,
Yes.
thanks.
Our speed bump?
Or tip.
All right, thank you. Then our consent agenda be approved with a note that 6:30 we will be taking recessing our meeting for the 2019 street and drainage project final assessment public hearing. So then our consent agenda then are the minutes on page 1, the vouchers on page 2 totaling $730,688.62. And then the motion to approve with Mr. Mergen there attending the MWA conference in Grand Rapids.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Rinke to approve the consent agenda. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. All right, and first item, get a verbal report here. We have a easement proposal before us here.
Okay, as Chuck was going through his checklist on easements and everything required, he found that there was one small chunk of land under the easement where the lift station sits down in the Claudic addition that was never, what we want to say, it was, we never had an easement on it. It's within that little area on your map. Initially, that lift station was installed in 1969, so I guess we'd have to go back that far to find out exactly what happened. But there is a number of above-ground items there, including there's a pretty large manhole, the controls are there, the emergency service, the siren was added, and I think it was like 1990, and then the generator was added in 2014. Chuck, if you want to...
Yeah, I think it's a case where the easement for the original sewer, water, and lift station were obtained before that land was even platted down there, so it was platted after the fact, so it's, there's just a little gap in there, a little hole in there, on where we're missing easement. And in order to try to replace the lift station and keep it within the easement and keep the old one, operating while we build the new one, it gets pretty tight to try to do that without obtaining this additional easement area.
Well,
This absolute irrevocable and perpetual utility easement agreement, that's like forever.
I guess that'd be a Bill
That's the
question.
idea, yes, yes.
So we're not buying it, we're just doing an agreement forever.
yep,
Right, he didn't want to sell it to us. He's willing to give us an easement so we can locate our utilities on there, but he was not inclined to sell the property outright to the city.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a okay, I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the absolute irrevocable and perpetual utility easement agreement and agreement to grant an absolute easement in the amount of $1,500, both between the city of Painesville and Roger Sieben.
I'll second.
motion by Gilmore, seconded by LeBeau to approve the absolute irrevocable perpetual utility easement agreement and agreement to grant an absolute irrevocable perpetual utility easement in the amount of $1,500, both between the city of Painesville and Roger Sieben. How was that?
That was better than I
All
did.
right. We do a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried. All right, now on to something a little less tongue twisting here. And Mr. Morgan will give us a report on the lease agreement there, airport.
Okay, we got two hangars that are changing over. First of all, I guess we are losing one of our original and longtime pilots out there. Been with us for a long time, but he is retiring from flying, so he is actually selling hangar number 103 to Chris Howard. And then John Erickson he will be a new pilot out there, and he will go into hangar number 7.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the airport lease agreements between the city of Painesville and John D. Erickson for hangar number 7 and Chris Hauer for hangar number 103.
I'll second.
Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by LeBeau. It's on the action sheet, page 17. Discussion.
Just a quick question, I noticed on, it's page 18, we don't have a date for the term of the lease, although it's signed May 1st. Is that gonna cause any issues, Ron, or anyone?
I don't believe that will be an issue.
Okay.
Fill in the blanks then. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, none, and that carried. And on to another mystery here.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am?
we are having some technical difficulties on the broadcast, so
Oh.
please bear with Kristen, she's working on it.
Okay. All right. Then we have the preliminary plat application here from Boss Excavating and looking to approve resolution 2018-20, approving the preliminary plat. And any updates there on that little strip there?
No,
Nope, no updates? Still a mystery?
no, Ampies own it. They're just waiting to get Ampies signatures.
Okay, that has been taken care of?
Yep,
Okay, then I'll clear that.
Who owned it?
Ampies.
No, for the rail spur?
Yes,
They did still own that?
they did still own
They
it.
did still own that, okay,
According to Igor at Ricky Noonan,
okay.
they still owned it.
That's the outlawed.
Pardon me?
The outlawed? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the railroad spur.
It is outlawed B of the plat, though.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, outlawed B, okay. I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2019-20, approving the preliminary plat of Voss Excavating Addition.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Rinky to approve resolution 2019-20, approving preliminary plat of Voss Excavating Addition. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried. All right, then the chief wants to do some redecorating in there, some new squad room furniture. So let's get a verbal report there, chief.
Just looking to bring the squad room up to a more functional space for the officers. Currently, we've got 3 different types of desks in there. One's actually held up by a block of wood. So trying to bring it more up to like what we did with Stephanie and Tom's area. And hopefully provide for a more functional work area for the guys.
And the budget and finance did review this at their meeting earlier tonight, and they're recommending approval. That's the quote from Northern Business Products at $3,730.15.
Move to approve the purchase of police department squad room furniture in the amount of $3,730.15 from Northern Business Products.
Second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by
Allegiant.
Alicia LeBeau. All right, any discussion or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried. And then the fee schedule here, some proposed changes. The only one is the administrative fine late fee. First reminder 5, second reminder 10, third reminder go to court. Assessment search going from none to $20 per search. Transfer water and sewer accounts from $12.50 to $20. Snow removal, downtown parking and truck parking from $10 for the second offense to $15 for the second offense. And if we're in favor of that, staff will put those in the resolution and bring it to the council.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Hearing no major discussion, we will refer that then to staff to do that. Next item is the annual action here to not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability and authorizing the mayor to sign.
I'll make the motion to not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability established by Minnesota statute 466.04 and authorize the mayor to sign the document.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Hertzberg to not waive the monetary limits as detailed on the action sheet, page 33. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, and that carried. And the next thing is the temporary on-sale liquor and beer license. They're requested by Painesville American Legion. They're holding an outdoor event on Friday, June 14th from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. So they're requesting this temporary license.
And Your Honor, Chief, were you contacted by
I was.
Okay.
And I'm working with Lori to, just on the particulars, to make sure that we're comfortable with how they're gonna fence it off and, for the event, so. And then she'll have, I believe we've discussed security from either 6 or 7 until the band's done, because I don't think the band starts till 8, so I think we were looking at 7 o'clock till 1 for staff there for security.
And they have paid their fee and their insurance. They do have coverage.
This is a Town and Country Days event? Or-
Not to my knowledge, it did not mention that on the application.
Okay.
It's,
It's during, but it's not an official town council.
that's Town and Country Days. It's the 100th anniversary event on Friday.
Okay.
That's why they're doing this.
I'll make the motion to approve temporary on-sale liquor beer license application T 2019-2, submitted by Painesville American Legion Post 271, to hold an outdoor event on Friday, June 14th, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m.
I'll second that.
Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Gilmore to approve that temporary application, temporary on-sale liquor and beer application. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. That carried. And then on to item H, we have a request from the Painesville Fire Relief Association to hold an outdoor event. Also a temporary on-sale liquor beer license. That would be on Saturday, June 15th from 5 p.m. till midnight. This is in conjunction with Town and Country Days.
And Your Honor, we have gotten our special insurance of, which is $533, which has been paid and will be invoiced to the chamber. I've also added, due to last year's occurrence, which cost $3,000, that they will need to have in advance in writing who their certified electrician is on site, and there is to be no one else to touch the generators or plug anything in or out. And they said they have somebody, they just have to get it in writing to me.
Okay.
Move to approve the temporary on-sale liquor, beer, and license application T 2019-1, submitted by the Painesville Fire Relief Association in order to hold an outdoor event in association with Town and Country Days on Saturday, June 15, 2019, from 5 to midnight.
I'll second that.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by Gilmore. As on the action sheet, page 56, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. And the next item, we have a firefighter submitting his resignation, Ken Ryman, who has been on there for 21 years. Looking for a motion to accept his resignation, effective May 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by LeBeau to accept Ken's Ken's resignation from the fire department. The discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, and that carries on to old business, Green Step Cities, an update on page 58. It's been tabled a couple times, seeking more information. Do we have a final recommendation, input from staff?
Whatever council desires.
That's a pretty open, open statement there.
I guess part of our concern why we tabled is how much work this is actually gonna be and if it's worthwhile for the amount of time involved.
So I think I'd make a motion to refer this to the environmental committee so that they can do a report on how much work is going to be involved, make a recommendation on how we would implement this, and report back to council within 90 days.
I don't think the environmental committee would even be able to handle this. It's just, I'm not quite sure which committee you would send this to. Any suggestions, Mayor? Which committee?
No,
I mean,
I would suggest it would just be a staff thing, and the staff is not comfortable, and you can probably just let it go. I'm gonna let your motion die for lack of a second.
Well, and that's fine, but I think this may be something that we can consider, but, I don't see why it can't be community-driven. So, that's something we're going to do.
The environmental committee also has township members on it, so it's not specific to Haynesville City,
Okay.
so.
And I would suspect they wouldn't
Yeah.
have much knowledge of staff time and
Right.
who's able to do what.
Is this even something that needs to be done by staff, though? From what I'm seeing, it's all community-led initiatives. And we just need to
Community.
appoint a specific administrator to report back to the organization, was my understanding. I don't know that it needed to be done by city staff. That's why I thought maybe they could look into that further.
The reporting would be done by staff, which would take some time.
No, the numbers for
Compliance.
everything would have to be done by the staff. As far as your solar panels and all that's gonna have to go through the staff and the staff numbers and, right?
Well, I could do this for council. I could talk to some of the other cities that participate, find out how they're handling it, and Ron and I think Jennifer would have a good idea of how many hours, and we could bring that report back.
Yeah, could you do it for like a city under 3,500 or
Yeah,
something
there,
like that?
Oh, yeah,
there's several of them,
there's-
they should have a good
That would be
idea.
I'll do a study for you.
Yeah, and then when we're up in Duluth in a month, we can, that's when they go through their annual recognitions, and, you know, those of us that are there, we can ask
Chime in.
to.
I mean, we could also put the resolution in place and just wait a while before we start the first steps, right? Like some of the other cities that were on that list that you gave us initially had been passed the resolution a few years ago, but hadn't taken any of the steps, right? So-
And my understanding is if you don't do anything within a year, you have to start all over. So
Okay.
if you pass the resolution and we don't do anything, I mean, you sure could, but if you start it and nothing happens in a year, then you have to pass the
Are
resolution.
you required to take steps, like at least one thing a year then from that point on?
Should we table this until August and after we go talk to everybody up at Duluth and other cities that are doing it and get a concept?
Yeah, we'll just leave this open and come back at a later meeting.
even July, I suppose.
Yeah, well, yeah. We won't put a specific time on it. We'll keep it hanging out there. Yeah, we have 4 minutes.
I put,
You can talk fast?
I put new batteries in
Oh,
the
okay.
clicker.
All right. We have Ryan here from Schlenner, Wenner and Company to
I didn't need an acronym.
give us the audit. We did have a joint budget and financing council meeting where we got the nuts and bolts. Give us the highlights.
Yep, so I'm gonna try and keep it pretty brief because of that, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt me. She's loading up the PowerPoint for you here, but basically, I'm here to present and go over the 2018 audit, and the audit process that we follow, we can get this up and going, is we perform a number of procedures throughout the audit, such as inquiries, analytics, tests of details, and based on the results of these procedures, we've expressed an unmodified, or what's known as a clean opinion on the city's financial statements this year. So that's the best opinion you can hope to achieve. That's the same opinion that you've received in the past. As far as other results of the audit, no unusual transactions, no unusual accounting policies that we identified, nothing strange that we need to report to you there. There are a few items that we look at during the audit aside from just the numbers, and that would be your internal controls. So we have the same 3 findings here that we've had in prior years, and they're extremely common findings that we have on most of the cities that we audit. The two material weaknesses, which would be a little bit more significant, would relate to a lack of proper segregation of duties, which simply means that because you only have a certain number of accounting staff on hand, you're not able to fully segregate every accounting function to the extent that's considered ideal. The other one we have up there relates to audit adjustments, and that's simply saying that during the audit, we did help you post some year-end adjustments to get your numbers where they needed to be for that full accrual presentation in the financial statements. And then the one other finding we have up there is just letting the readers know that we, as a third party, do prepare the financial statements on your behalf. And during our review of your compliance with Minnesota statutes, we didn't identify any findings this year. Okay, getting into the numbers a little bit. Here we have the general fund 2014 through 2018, and then also the 2018 budget. Overall, you had revenues of about 1.9 million in your general fund. You had expenditures of about 1.7 million. Net transfers out to other funds of about 53,000, and you ended the year with an increase in your fund balance of about $177,000. So you were relatively close to budget with all of these items except the transfers, which vary a little bit from year to year. Looking at your other funds, so these are your other governmental funds. We have your debt service fund here, your capital projects fund, and then your other smaller funds, your non-major funds we've wrapped together. Debt service activity here was very standard, very comparable to prior years. Taxes and assessments coming in, debt service payments going out. Capital projects, you had a few significant expenditures this year, such as for your fire truck, some street projects that you had going on, all planned expenditures. And then your non-major governmental funds, that's your EDA, your economic development loan, revolving fund, et cetera. Pretty standard activity there. Your other funds, your proprietary funds we'll look at next. The first of those is your water fund. You can see you had positive income from operations again this year. Your operating income was about $65,000 this year. Combine that with some transfers to and from other funds and some other non-operating activity, you had an increase in your net position for 2018 of about $322,000. Looking at your sewer fund, you actually had an increase in your operating income this year. You had positive operating income of about $77,000. A fairly significant increase in revenues and a bit of reduction in expenditures there, which helped you achieve that positive operating income. Overall, you had an increase in your net position of about $109,000. And finally, your liquor fund. Your liquor fund this year, you had a bit of an increase in your operating income compared to the prior year due to some reductions in expenditures that you experienced during the year. Overall, you had an increase in your liquor fund of about $12,000, and that's after transferring $35,000 out to the general fund. And that's the summarized version of the presentation. Any questions?
4 minutes. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can we make a motion on that?
Sure can.
I'll make the motion to approve the 2018 audit.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Hertzberg to approve the 2018 Schlenner Wenner and Company. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried, and it being 6:30 and Paul Evans is here.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, yep. We can recess the council meeting and call to order the 2019 Street and Drainage Project Final Assessment Public Hearing. And Mr. DeWolf from Bolton and Mink, we've got all our experts here tonight. We got the auditor, we got city engineer, we got Northland Securities, and Paul. All right. All right.
All right, once the PowerPoint is pulled up here, we can get going.
Got too anxious, I got 3 of them.
Thank you. As mentioned, we're here tonight for the assessment hearing for the proposed 2019 improvement project that also includes the East Railroad Street drainage improvements. I'll run through just a short presentation tonight that identifies the streets that are included in the project, as well as discusses what the proposed improvements consist of, talk about project costs and assessments, and then open it up for any questions. The streets that are proposed to be included in the project are shown on the map here. They include Burr Street and Maple Street, both from Highway 55 down to Spruce Street, Circle Pines Court, Ponderosa Street from Maple over to Burr, the service road just to the east of Burr Street, and then also you'll see Hudson Avenue from 2nd Street up to Hudson Drive, and then a little portion of Belmont Street just north to the north of Business 23. In addition, we are looking at doing some intersection improvements out by the 2nd Street and Diekman Drive intersection, just to realign some of the accesses into the parking lot. And then the last portion of the project deals with East Railroad Street, some drainage improvements that we're looking to complete as part of this project to help alleviate some of the flooding issues in that area. This project, for the most part, along most of the streets, is planned to be a total reconstruction. So the map shown on the screen right now represents the proposed sanitary sewer improvements along all the streets shown, primarily all the streets except the East Railroad Street drainage area. We'd be replacing all the old sanitary sewer with new PVC or plastic mains. In addition, we'd be putting new manholes at all the intersections at different points in the system. All the service lines to all the properties in these areas would be replaced from the main out to the property line. I know several residents have expressed an interest of having their own service lines done from their house up to their out to the right of way as well. We are using some trenchless construction in this area. Just there's some sewer mains that go through some easement areas, so we'll be utilizing some lining and some pipe bursting in some of those areas to accomplish that. The water main improvements that are planned are very similar to the sewer. We'll basically be replacing the old water mains with new PVC or plastic mains. Once again, we'd be putting new hydrants and valves throughout the system. And as with the sewer service, the water services would be replaced from the new mains out to the property line, and we'd put a new water shutoff at that location. We are proposing to actually put a larger diameter, a 10-inch water main, along the service road as well along Highway 55. And that's part of our overall water plan to get a larger diameter water main towards the western portion of the city. So this allows us to get a section of that built with this project. The proposed storm sewer improvements are shown on this map. Basically, we'll be replacing the old storm sewer system with a new storm sewer collection system. It'd be new pipes and catch basins located at various locations to collect and carry the stormwater. The majority of the stormwater goes into the ditch and the existing storm sewer along Highway 55. The proposed street improvements in these areas would consist of replacing all the streets with a new urban section street. The majority of the streets would be 36 feet wide with concrete curb and gutter on both sides of the street, and it'd be the normal high style curb. The service road right along Highway 55, that road is planned to be 22 feet wide, where you have limited right of way in that area, so that will be obviously smaller with curb and gutter on just one side. And then Belmont would actually be a 24-foot wide street. In addition to the street improvements, all areas disturbed like driveways, your grass, everything would be restored following construction. So we also are planning to extend the trail that's along Burr Street. Right now it goes from, I think what's known as John Janata Road to the south. The trail will extend all the way up to Highway 55. And there'll be some pavement markings put for the crossing and some typical pedestrian signs at that location. So this figure shows the proposed improvements out at the 2nd Street and Diekman Drive intersection. Essentially, we'll be extending 2nd Street further to the west and redoing the access into the Teals parking lot. In addition, we have worked with Shopko, and they are in favor of extending a new access into their driveway as well at that location. So, and with that, we have to extend some storm sewer as shown in orange. Right now, the drainage sort of sits right at the end of that road, so we'll be extending the storm sewer to pick up the water in that area. As we alluded to earlier, this is the portion of the project that deals with the East Railroad Street drainage improvements. As the council may recall, we looked at several different options when we were exploring these improvements. Basically, it was decided the best option was to intercept all the water from the industrial area east of Garfield, as well as the water coming along Garfield, intercept that water and bring it to the north under the tracks. We'd be building a new pond just north of the tracks on those two properties that the city recently purchased. And then from there, the water would be piped to the north to the existing regional pond down by the river. So basically, we're trying to divert as much of that water to the north to take some pressure off the East Railroad Street system. Here's a breakdown of the estimated cost for the project. You can see where the street improvements are $1,341,573. Storm sewer was $632,036. Water main $493,199. The sanitary sewer $891,942. And a lot of the sanitary cost was associated with the new lift station down. I forgot to mention that earlier, but there's a new lift station down in the Aquatic Addition as well. That's an older lift station that's being replaced as part of the project. The East Railroad Street storm sewer improvements is estimated at $698,494 for a total cost of $4,057,224. The project is proposed to be assessed based on the city's policy and past practices. 50% of the street costs will be assessed to benefiting properties, as well as the sanitary sewer and water main service costs. Fortunately, we did receive good bids on the project, so all the assessment numbers actually went down with the exception of the Diekman Drive 2nd Street intersection cost. You can see the proposed assessment for the typical 36-foot wide street is $66.45. The narrower street was $38.66. The Diekman Drive 2nd Street intersection was $25,453 split between Teals, Shopko, and the city. Sewer service or water service was $1,482.87 per service. Sewer service was $1,152.80 per service, and the East Railroad Street storm sewer improvements were assessed, are proposed to be assessed at 87 cents per square foot based on the contributing area and the formula that was looked at as part of the preliminary phases of the project. Excuse me. As far as assessments, I know we've met with a lot of the different property owners, went through the assessments. I know Renee and Jennifer spent a lot of time with a lot of the property owners. Assessments can be paid in full with no interest within 30 days of adoption. Either that or they can be put on their property taxes for a period of 15 years. And I believe it was 5.35% if I recall right. Anytime after that after the assessments are recorded with the county, they can be paid in full with interest accrued to the December 31st of that year. However, all payments must be made by November 15th, or the interest from the whole following year will be added on to that amount. As far as schedule, this just shows the project. The council did act in April to award the project. We're having the assessment hearing tonight. Construction is planned to start later this month, hopefully, and be completed by November. And then we'd obviously do the final lift of wearing course on all the streets next spring in June, or next summer in June. So.
Questions from the council? Questions from the gallery? Please use the microphone, please. I'd love to hear your radio voice get picked up very clear and.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Evans. I'm the manager of the Painesville Farmers Union Co-op, Cenex, if you will. As you are well aware, on the, East Railroad? Is that what they call that project? The part that affects me? The East Railroad storm sewer project, I believe, is the one that affects the co-op the most. And, obviously, because of the square footage involved, I'm, as a representative of the co-op, been assessed the largest share of that portion of that project. And, before I get too far, I just did want to say that Ron and Chuck have been very professional through this whole thing, even though I've been opposed to it since the beginning. They've been maintaining professionalism, and I want to thank you both for that. They've treated with me with utmost respect. I just want to say that in 2004, you did the Railroad Street project. We just basically paid for that one, and now we're getting another one. It seems like we can't ever get past an assessment or a project off our taxes on this project, and it's frustrating because we pay our property taxes anyway, and then to have these assessments besides, it's really hard on our cash flow. And now this project is going to be another 12 grand a year onto us. The timing of it isn't real fantastic because of the downturn in the ag economy. So it's frustrating for me, but timing is what it is at this point. But I just wanted to voice my opinion on the opposition of this project and let you know that I am against not all the street projects, but the East Railroad project at this time. And if there's any way you would reconsider not doing it, I would appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Paul. And thank you for your comments, and yes, it's always difficult when you're working with someone else's money. It's not as fun as some people think it is.
I think the only comment I have, we did go 15 years instead of 10 to ease the pain a little.
Shot to the head or 12 shots to the gut.
We did also adjust the portion that the city's paying of that project, didn't we? To try to say, you know, when you brought comments the last time, like we have really tried to work with you.
I do appreciate the fact that the assessment is 50% versus 75, which was originally, the original assessment came through. So I do appreciate any help on that city's part. I did notice that. Thank you very much.
I think what Paul is saying is that it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And regardless that we're going to probably do this anyway, you'd like to say, it's a lot of money. I wish you weren't. That pretty much sum it up?
Well, you know, like I say, it's a lot of money for something that doesn't benefit us at all. For the co-op. You know, it doesn't help us in one iota. We get no benefit whatsoever out of this. So.
Yeah, I guess the goal of the project, as we've talked about, is just to try to drain, you know, help alleviate the issues that have been experienced, you know, around the East Railroad Street, you know, as pertaining to some of the flooding issues as much as possible.
Now, with this lower bid, that's gonna lower everything? All the assessments, correct?
Basically, the numbers that were sent out are the final assessment rolls.
What we have here
Off
is.
this bid?
Yep.
Correct.
I do have one more question. In the proposal, it does say if we don't pay the original assessment, we get the interest. And we have to pay it by November 15th in order to prevent next year's interest being added, correct? In our business, we have a very seasonal cash flow issue. And there might be a chance in 4, 5, 6 years, whatever, that we might be able to pay our balance off. But it would be in the spring of the year. Is there any way you can daily calculate that interest at all versus per annum?
It's done by the Stearns County. Once it goes to them, they'll only take a full year's interest to take it off the
Who
assessment.
do I gotta vote off there to get that changed?
Well, yeah, you can only vote for one, but it takes three.
I don't think, I mean, Stearns County does it that way, but it's not really Stearns County's fault. That's the way the legislature has it set up in the statute. It's not really, I mean, the county does it that way, but it's because that's the way it is in the state statute. So you'd have to get a whole bunch of people.
Rats. I mean, it just seems with electronic bookkeeping these days, you can calculate anything to the minute. And this is an antiquated system to be able to add interest on a per annum basis. It seems fairly antiquated.
Yep. Agreed.
I will email that to our representative.
Yes.
Oh, they hear from me all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Don't use my name.
Cancel that order.
And you'd think with all the electronic, computerized stuff, you know, they'd be able to knock out license plate registrations and driver's license
Touché.
renewals, just like that. But
Well, like I said, I know this year we wouldn't probably be able to pay the assessment in full, but if the economy turns around and we're back to where we were 10 years ago, we might be able to pay some of this off early, but there's, you know, our cash comes in probably March before the spring season starts. And it doesn't seem right to be able to pay it off in March and have no discount. For that, rest of that per annum. So, now, is it January 1st through December 31st is the annual thing, or is it calculated off the June?
You want, if you were gonna pay it off, you would wanna pay it after the October property tax payment. Because in between, because at the end of December, they calculate for the May, so you'd wanna pay it off after October 15th and before, I would say December 15th.
Well, is it in November?
November 15th, yeah.
Okay.
So invest your money wisely, pay it in the fall.
That might be 10 years down the road, I don't know, so it may not happen at all, we might just pay all 15 years or whatever.
Just give us a holler and we'll let you try to keep getting interest as long as you can before you.
Now, is that rate, the 2% over the bond issue, is that set for all 15 years?
Yes, and we have the bond sold this morning, so we'll be getting a report here shortly on what interest rate it ended up being sold at.
But that'll be standard for the
Yes.
15, okay. Sometimes you can't lock rates in over 10.
Oh,
That's why I was wondering how that works.
so we did have a good bond sale, so.
Great. Thank you for your time, I appreciate you letting me talk.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you. And then we do have a couple proposed changes here too.
Yes, Your Honor, we have two proposed changes through all the meetings with all the residents on this project. 797 Maple Street, which is the Pauls, their pavement of their driveway should have been done at the city's cost. As the city removed the pavement a few years back to access the sewer and water. And the second one is 754 Maple Street, where we have an easement. And so would like to have an adjustment also done for them because they can't build or do anything from that easement to the rest of the way to their property line. Ron has more details on, we thought that was 20 feet. Ron, do you have?
The easement is 30 feet.
30.
So that would be times the $65.
I think it was roughly, real close to $2,000.
That their driveway is on the easement is?
No, the easement is just to the north of their garage.
Okay,
And then on the opposite side of that easement, they own like another 30 feet which really that portion is unbuildable. So what they're saying is this easement really makes their entire north of their lot almost useless to them since they can't build on it.
So they're on,
So, Ron, you just said that that easement linear footage would be 2,000 some odd dollars? Maybe I
He
didn't
said
read-
close to 2,000.
Okay.
I think 65 point, whatever it is, 66.45 times 30.
Yeah, it was just under, it's like 1993.
Yeah, so then the number that I have must be wrong.
No, that, what you have on here is correct. That's their assessment. Their original assessment was like 10,000
Yeah.
something.
Gotcha.
It reduced it reduced their assessment approximately $2,000.
so the amounts that are listed on the action sheet are with a reduction.
That is correct.
And I think this same easement is the one we were just dealing with the lift station. The same easement was put in, I think, prior to that land being platted. And so when they platted it, for some reason, they platted a lot that straddled both sides of this easement. So this person has a 30-foot easement going sort of in the middle of their yard.
Oh, okay. They're right after you cross Highway 55 on the right-hand side, right?
They'd be the second house, I believe. Right off the extension of Circle Pines Court.
Right here?
Yeah, actually, it's this parcel right here.
Yep, on the, yeah.
There's an easement right across here.
That's where you're gonna do the lateral underground stuff to try to avoid.
Correct.
So how much was both the adjustments, do you know?
The one was, they were 1993.50, I think was the one, and the other one was 21.91 for the driveway.
Can't read mine, mine's all just a blur here.
Yeah, terrible
Tiny
small.
print.
Get up here.
Yeah, but it just doesn't, can barely make it up. Bill, is that typical or
Is what typical?
what that, dealing with the easement issue here for Gabrielson, is that something that's, it's an odd situation anyway, but
I've never seen it come up before in the context of any of our improvements. I don't know if there are other situations where that's existed and people didn't complain. I don't know, but I'm not aware that it's ever come up before. Chuck, I don't know if you remember it happening before. It's, ideally, we wouldn't have that that wouldn't be in that location. It would have been in a street. But it's there.
I think traditionally they try to put the easements along the property lines. That way you're within setback zone, so you really can't build over them anyway. I think that was the difference with this particular one, that it's over in the more center part of his property.
My concern is that if this was something that was going to be repeated many times, obviously you're losing assessment dollars. But I understand from their perspective, and I'd like to think that this is an odd situation. Without really looking at utility maps, I couldn't say how frequently this is going to come up, but I would hope it would be pretty rare. Maybe it's not as rare as I think, Ron, I don't know.
No, it's one of the only ones that I can think of. Looking at the map, like Chuck had indicated, easements are almost always put right on the property line, and they go to both parties. Here, obviously, this was, water and sewer was installed prior to the easements and the plat being developed. It just ended up that it's kind of right in the middle of somebody's lot.
No, on 797 Maple Street, the city removed the pavement, did they put it back or just left it?
Oh, what happened there, we had a major sewer issue there, so we ended up taking out their curb gutter portion of their driveway, And they had indicated, well, we knew the project was coming. They said, let's just leave it alone. So we never reinstalled it. So they saved us probably quite a bit more than what we were giving them in credit now.
Okay.
Maybe not quite a bit, but it's a pretty fair
So we
amount.
didn't do it, they just want it redone or anything?
Correct.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I should probably make a little tweak to the resolution to acknowledge the existence of the changes to the assessment roll. I could get something down to City Hall tomorrow, acknowledging those changes in the resolution.
They could approve it pending those changes.
Prove it
Yeah.
contingent on those changes, or with the understanding that those changes are going to be put in.
It'll just acknowledge that there were some changes made to the assessment roll.
Are we ready for a motion,
Well,
Still in a hearing.
or? Oh, I thought it was over.
you want to talk?
Sure, do you want me to just speak to the rate, or do you want me to give the, full presentation on the bond? It's up to you, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead. Full presentation, yep.
Mayor, Council, I'm Tammy Umdahl with Northland Public Finance, here to present on both the agenda item on the approval of the issuance of the 2019 B bonds, and then I'll have some comments that impact the resolution related to the assessment rolls. So this morning, Northland, on the city's behalf, took bids for the 2019 B bonds. These were sold through a competitive sale process. And the sale went very well. As the council is aware, you are issuing these bonds to finance the 29th Street Improvement Project, which you just went through in your public hearing. As part of the process, before I get into the results, you recently went through the bond sale of the 2019A and sought a rating on those bonds. That process was undertaken in an abbreviated manner with the rating agency, and I would note that they again affirmed the city's rating at AA-. There were 4 bids received this morning. You have at your places the results, the bid sales, bond sale summary. Hyper Jaffrey out of Minneapolis was the low bid, and the bonds were bid with premium, and I will explain what that means. So you may have had in your packet, or you would have had a resolution. The dollar amounts in that resolution are greater than the final proposed bond amount. And that is because the underwriter bid with premium. They're paying you more than the face value of the bonds in order to get higher coupons on the bonds. So the final sale amount, $3,980,000, compared to on April 16th, when you called for the sale, estimated at that time at $4,220,000. The average interest rate at the time was estimated at 2.72 with no premium bid. The final with the premium bid at 3%. While that may seem higher, again, they are paying you approximately $214,000 more than the par amount. I'll go to the bottom line, the true interest cost, which is the measure, the index that we use to evaluate the bids. The estimate was at 2.9%. Final bid this morning was at 2.41%. There was a lot going on in the market today, more broadly, you may have noticed, and the city in the bond market achieved very favorable results today. So with that, and I'll speak to your other item on the assessments, but I would say when you get to this agenda item, I would recommend approval of the resolution awarding the bonds. Now, with respect to the interest rate on the special assessments, in that resolution, it has the rate of 5.35%. Your policy is to charge 2% above the cost of issuance. That is a policy decision for the city council. There are years when you do assessments, when you don't issue bonds, and you're always estimating that rate. So the city council could decide to leave that 5.35, or you could lower it, and if you did it 2% above the average interest rate, it would go to 5%, or a rate that the city council would determine to be appropriate given the results of the sale. So I believe staff, in asking me to come up here a little earlier, you would have to make that motion with respect to a change to the resolution on the certification of the assessments. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody? In the, let's see here.
Pulled it for you.
Which resolution is that? Page?
It's on
My concern would be in the notice that went out, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think in the notice of the assessment, it had language about the interest rate being 2% above the average, above the interest rate on the bond.
It does.
So I think it would be hard to
Hard to
not,
change.
not to change to
Yep.
5%, given
Yeah.
that that was the notice that went to the citizens who are affected by this. I think,
I would be hard pressed to change it anyway, or.
no, I know, but I mean, I'm just pointing it out that in the notice that was mailed, I think that's what it said, and I think, you know, you've kind of committed to that, I believe.
So, but but
It says if you decide not to prepay the assessment before the given date above, the interest rate that will apply is 2% per annum above the bond rate at that time of 3.35, unless the bond rate decreases, in which case it will be 2% above the lower bond rate. Period.
So it's already established then?
so it automatically would go to 5.
Yeah. That's my understanding.
So I'll change the resolution accordingly.
Is that what you understand, Bill?
Yes.
Yep.
That's exactly what we told Paul tonight. When he asked.
Thank goodness for small favors.
2% over.
Yep. Yep.
So I think we have to go with 5.
Okay, then we have two motions to there, one for the adopting the assessment roll, resolution 2019-22. Oh, come on. Pardon? Oh, we're still in the public hearing, okay. We'll close the hearing and go back into the regular council meeting. And so we are on item D, street and drainage project, 2019 street and drainage project.
We didn't do,
No, we'll go back up to that one.
okay.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2019-22 adoption assessment roll with that change of the interest rate that we talked about to 5%.
And the two changes,
Adjustments.
Yes, and
the
the two
797 Maple Street and
adjustments on
754
the
Maple Street.
action sheet amendment.
Yep. Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by LeBeau, seconded by Hertzberg to approve resolution 2019-22, adoption assessment roll with adjustments made to 797 Maple Street and 754 Maple Street. Those numbers as on there. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Carried?
So on the second motion,
Yep.
do they need to change that sale amount? to
Sale amount?
The 3980?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That is,
Mayor, council members, that is correct. The final amount is $3,980,000. Bond council will provide to staff a final resolution with those amounts filled in.
So then I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2019-23, providing the issuance and sale of $3,980,000 general obligation improvement bond series 201-19B and pledging special assessments and levying a tax for the repayment thereof.
Second.
Motion by Gilmore, seconded by Hertzberg to approve resolution 2019-23, providing the issuance and sale of $3,980,000 of geo improvement bonds, series 2019B, and pledging special assessments and levying a tax for the repayment thereof. Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried.
Mayor, may I approach the dais?
Yep, you sure may. With caution, though.
Yes, Jennifer has the rest of the paperwork that you'll sign before 9 a.m., so I
Yep.
just need a signature from each of you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would note that is correct, that it says that, because when they bid them, they don't know what you're
Mm-hmm. There you go, Danny. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your
Thank
help
you,
and work.
yes. That's better than Geico, saving money.
Yeah. Tell Jessica thank you too.
Yep.
Went very well.
Yep, thank you. All right, then, is anything else on the 2019? That's it, I'll just wait for the work to
The
start.
pre-construction meeting is Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. Excellent. Okay, then we'll go back up to item C, the AMPI expansion project. Chuck?
Yes, on April 2nd, we opened bids for the AMPI expansion wastewater system improvement project. We received 6 bids, ranging from a low of $3,633,818 to a high of $4,776,488. Low bid was submitted by Eagle Construction out of Little Falls. The estimate was just about $3.5 million, so it came in within a couple % of our estimate. On a side note, we were notified that we did receive the Business Development Public Infrastructure Grant for the project, so that will cover about just over $1.9 million of the project cost. So, if the council wishes to continue to move forward with the project, we'd recommend the contract be awarded to Eagle Construction in the amount of $3,633,818. One other side note on this project, you might have seen it, but we will be doing a permit modification at our wastewater treatment facility as a result of this project. So that will be going on over the next several months while this project moves forward.
Okay, Eagle Construction,
Yeah, we've worked with Eagle Construction several times in similar type projects. They're very capable and to complete a project of this type, so.
I'll make the motion to accept the bid of $3,633,818 from Eagle Construction Company Incorporated from Little Falls, Minnesota, and award the contract to them.
Second.
motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Ranky to accept the bid of $3,633,818 from Eagle Construction Company, Inc., Little Falls, Minnesota, and award the contract to them. Discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried. Anything else on that? All right.
Chuck, is this a situation where we've got deposits from bidders and we should return them all except the second bidder until the contract is signed, or does that not go on this kind of a project?
It's the same type of process that we'd utilize.
Okay.
And I did clarify with Deed as well that we will be going through our grant agreement process, but being that the official date of expenses occurred after April 25th or apply to the grant, so that's why we held off on awarding this contract until now.
Oops, right by it. All right, then on to item E, airport maintenance and operation grant contract.
Okay, thank you. Grant agreements are for 2 years for 2020 and 2021, the total amount of $41,922, and it's exactly what it says, it's for the maintenance and operation. Most of it is utilized to cover the cost of snow plowing, building maintenance, some of the labor out there, and mowing. I guess it definitely comes in. We utilize 100% of our allocated amount, so there's nothing left uncovered there.
And I thank you for that. Hate to leave state money on the table. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the airport maintenance and operation grant contract and resolution 2019-21 authorizing to execute Minnesota Department of Transportation Airport Maintenance and Operation Grant Contract.
I'll second.
Motion by Gilmore, seconded by LeBeau to approve the airport maintenance operation grant contract and resolution 2019-21 as on the action sheet, page 109. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, none carried. And chief is still here, okay, and awake. All right, we get an update from Chief Wagner on the SOR Memorandum of Understanding.
Thank you. So, the school board took up the agreement at their last meeting. They were fine with pretty much all of the agreement with the one exception of one line. So they asked that that line be removed from the agreement. Basically, all that line was is it indicated that the money that they were paying the city was not tied to any specific number of hours. There should be no issues with removing that line from the agreement. So, with the way we are staffing this position now, we should be more than able to comply with what the agreement is. So, just looking to have you guys update the renewed one, and then we did put the term in there as of August 1st to June 30th of this coming school year.
I'll make the motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for school resource officer between the city of Painesville and the Painesville Area School District 741.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Rinky to approve the memorandum of understanding for the school resource officer between the city of Painesville and Painesville Area School District 741. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, none, and that carried. And then Bill's gone, but that's fine. We looking to hire William Dahl and Megan Brick at $12.67 per hour, unilateral scale 2018 grade 1 step 1, starting May 4th for the position of part-time. That's up to 32 hours per week at the liquor store.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by,
Alicia.
okay. I thought I heard something down there. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, and that carried. And our last action item here, part-time seasonal 67-day public works employee, Ron. You're looking to hire Olivia, not another Schlaper.
I know.
With the 67-day working position at $10.10 per hour effective May 28th.
I'll make a motion to hire Olivia Schlaper for a seasonal part-time 67-day maintenance worker position at $10.10 per hour effective May 28th, 2019.
I'll second.
Motion by Gilmore, seconded by LeBeau to hire Olivia Schlaper as on the action sheet, page 126. Discussion. Yep.
Is there still an opening on the part-time, full-time, or are we gonna get by with what we have?
For the March to November job?
Part-time, full-time. The union,
I believe we're interviewing on Wednesday.
We have one application.
okay, so
We have-
that's
we have-
still,
We have 3 applications. One was a confused person who put in for the wrong position. They really wanted the seasonal. Could not because they're still in school, work the other position. So we have 2 other applicants that Jennifer will be contacting, and we'll do those interviews this week.
and we have Quaid is coming back.
Yes.
That answers my question.
All right. Did we vote on that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. I thought so. Throw me for a loop there, Neil. All right. And the only other thing is informational. We have our 2018 drinking water report, which someone was asking about on social media here a while ago. We got the police department reports. Wage and benefit report on page 138, April liquor store report. Notice of the Stearns County Municipal League meeting coming up here. The
Wait, Your Honor?
notice
Is-
of the infrastructure grant there, and the West Central Garbage report for April and May, and Renee.
And who, is there anyone not going to the municipal league meeting?
Yeah, I gotta check my schedule.
Doing where?
Municipal League meeting in San
San
Augusta.
Daily planner. Yeah.
Next Tuesday.
I'm not going,
You are not.
not going,
Not, no,
not if it's next Tuesday.
Renee will take notes.
Sir?
I believe I wrote it down, so I'll be going.
Renee will take notes for you.
Okay.
All right, and we're adjourned. Thank you all.
It's an outside.